I've done a lot of work in this industry, so I'm able to speak with some level of experience here. So you're right, these buying groups want to, it's the lowest common denominator, and they want to commoditize the industry. But what I've found, and see if your own experience suggests this, or maybe even the audience, is that even with the buying group, if you can demonstrate the return on what you're planning to do, then a good case can be made, but not otherwise. So the idea then is the quantification of that value that you think you're going to provide. So that's the one thing that I found. The other thing that I've found is, so let's go back to that quantification. So what I find many times is we say, this is the value I can provide, but we don't take that extra step to say, I'm going to quantify the value to show you what the return on that investment is. That is critical. I mean, make no mistake, companies like Ritz-Carlton don't do this because they're good people. Yes, they're good people, but in the end, they're there to make money, right? So there has to be a justification. And so that service profit chain that I spoke of earlier, where an investment in employees pays off with the investment in customers, the organizations have actually quantified this and said, if we invest $1 in an employee, what is the return on the customer? And so what I find it's necessary is to quantify that value in terms of the return. The second thing I've found is it depends also on the culture of the institution. So what I found in working in this industry is that in some institutions, the physicians tend to hold a lot more power than in other institutions. And in those kinds of institutions, you notice that the physicians tend to exert more of an influence. So where does that power come from? It comes from the physician being more informed about what you're planning to do. So what I found is that we tend to believe that physicians are omniscient. They know everything. They don't. In other words, they can be just as ignorant about a brand and an offering as a consumer can. And therefore, the sales force has a role to play in physician education. And what I found is that when physicians are educated, meaning they know more about the brand and the value proposition, they can speak with more authority to somebody else and say, well, okay, that may be true, but this is what you should consider. So that's how I would answer that question.